Not listening to that. I'm good on that. I'm good. What's up, beautiful?
I'm 15.
Trav, you're insane! Pull up to the crib, Trav.
Frank Ocean. It's a couple good songs in there, but dude, it's not what you think it is.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. This has replay value. This has excitement. This has when you're in your feels. This has everything.
If you care that much about lyrics, just read a book. I don't care about what they say. They could be speaking German for all I give a shit about. Rap music, 90% of it is shit. Like, yo, I bought this Louis V for my bitch in my ride in my car.
What? What?
A music review is defined as a critical analysis or evaluation of a piece of music. The final result should be a piece of criticism that, although subjective, is supported by evidence and allows for the consumer to make their mind up on whether they want to purchase the album. So what the fuck has happened? Was that analytical? Was that supported by any evidence? What the fuck did that man even say? It seems like the modern day music tastemakers more so reflect a toddler dribbling on a keyboard than the respected works of critics such as Robert Christgau. But why is this? And more importantly, why is a music review important in the first place? The need for music reviews is pretty simple. Back in the days before digital streaming and AI music slop, the industry was a very different place. Instead of stealing a type beat from YouTube, spamming auto-tuned presets on the motherfucker and releasing it on SoundCloud, an artist needed to have label backing to get anywhere in the industry. The label would provide enough funds to record the album and then print it onto various copies to sell to the consumer. The sales of these formats, mostly vinyl, cemented the success of a particular artist. This was back in the day when music was actually routinely bought instead of being streamed for 30 seconds by Kai Cenat fans. This is why the music review was so important. The average consumer had to actually buy a physical copy of the album. They couldn't just skip through 10 seconds on Spotify and decide they don't like it, move on to the next. The critic's job was to listen so you didn't have to. They analysed context, technique, aesthetic, and the inherent qualities of a project to portray to the audience whether it was worth the $4. And I know $4 doesn't sound like a lot, but fucking inflation. This is where figures like Robert Christgau entered the chat, who has since become one of the most respected, although contentious critics within the history of music, obviously behind Antoine Fantoine. He became known for his Consumer's Guide. Each issue would include reviews for up to 20 different albums. He quickly became infamous. His short reviews allowed for the busy consumer to make their mind up on whether they wanted to purchase the album. This motherfucker could literally destroy the sales of a record with just one line. Christgau actually reflected the modern day reviewer more so than any of his contemporaries at the time. He reviewed everything from punk to hip hop and presented his ideas for the ears of the uneducated music listener as opposed to the expert. Despite having no academic background within music, he still became incredibly knowledgeable on the art form, and this was through years of deliberate listening alongside decades of music-related logs that built a structure of knowledge that made him trustworthy as a reviewer for the audience. He also had an English degree from Dartmouth College, which is way more than what can be said for XQC, who basically became famous for not even being able to speak the English language.
It would be my 20 or 5, but it on paper you're 15.
Wait, what'd you say?
Christgau's most appropriate modern day counterpart would be Anthony Fantano, who I'm actually not going to shit on in this video. This incredibly bold man has vast music knowledge, and although I do consider him a little bit out of touch, his reviews come from a place of respect for the art form and the viewer of his videos. Fantano clearly rage baits and pushes political narratives within his reviews, but hey, so did Christgau. He gave an A+ to Metal Machine Music by Lou Reed. That album is quite literally an hour of guitar feedback. He was the original rage baiter. I wonder how Christgau would have reviewed Sexy Red. Also quickly, Fantano, can you stop pretending to like Sexy Red so you can get some sort of like light-skinned girl clout? We can see through your charade, brother. So if the most notorious and contentious bold man within music journalism positively reflects the aspects of music reviews, what, and more accurately, who is the problem? Live streaming. The format that originally allowed for relaxed interaction between an online celebrity and the viewer has since become one of the most depraved forms of media, period. Streamers have become the new rappers. Clout chasing, scamming fans, flexing disgusting clothing, fucking chains. The resemblance is uncanny. Rap culture has also become inherently connected to live streaming. This began with Aiden Ross, who undoubtedly changed streaming culture forever by combining the gaming format with hip-hop, fashion, and hype culture. This allowed for figures such as Kai Cenat to rise through the ranks, as well as streamers who were entirely focused on gaming such as XQC to transition into a more hip-hop oriented niche to great success. These three figures have recently moved into music reviews, regularly reacting to albums on stream, giving their scores, and then crashing out whenever anybody calls them a music critic, despite the fact they are literally presenting themselves as a music critic. So what exactly is wrong with the way these figures review albums? Surely if they just present their opinion honestly, that is enough, right? Well, my chronically online friend, there are two big problems: money and clout. The life force of these creatures fully depend on these two things, and it's creating a huge problem when children online are actually forming a musical opinion based off the criticism of these troglodytes. I think it's best if we start off with this little creature named Aiden Ross. I call him a creature because I struggle to label him as a human. There aren't many human qualities to this motherfucker. Live streaming has recently become one of the most popular forms of online entertainment, and I theorize that it's for two main reasons. One of the reasons perhaps is Aiden Ross himself, and the other is the art of clip farming. To be fair, we can just fucking smash them into one, because Aiden Ross is basically clip farming personified. The key to success in streaming is simple: overreact, insult, harass, beat the shit out of random people on the street, and you'll likely get clipped, shared on some form of short form social media, and boom, millions of impressions. This doesn't seem entirely relevant to the concept of the music review, but in the case of Aiden Ross it 100% is. Instead of going into an album with the intention of providing an accurate review, he only has clips on his mind. This results in the motherfucker waggling his tongue and vibrating like a Deftones fan's sock drawer whenever he hears Drake just spit the deadest bar of all time. He specifically does this whenever he listens to Drake music, and this is because he is actually friends with Drake, a relationship that is mutually beneficial to the point where he will just benefit from consistently glazing his music. We've already reached a point where the review is not intended to be accurate or informative. It's only utilized to gain a particular streamer or artist more views and clicks, and it only gets worse in terms of financial aspects when we explore Kai Cenat. Kai is the biggest streamer on the planet and heavily associates with the genre of hip-hop. To preface this section, Kai specifically claims that he is not a music expert or music critic.
Warning, I am not a music expert, I am a bum. I have never claimed to be a judge of music, but I have my own opinion.
Although I don't particularly see that as valid, as he critiques albums to millions of impressionable teenagers. Whether he believes it or not, he is critiquing music and it is heavily affecting the online discourse. Kai is different to Aiden in the fact that he has essentially changed the way the traditional hip-hop album rollout works through his streams. Most mainstream rap artists and labels will utilize Kai's stream and audience. It's happened countless times, and older artists such as Mariah Carey or Nicki Minaj will go on Kai's stream to promote an album to a younger audience that may not be aware of their music anymore. To be fair to Kai, he actually appears to critique the music in an honest way, although there are various factors that do affect the way he reviews an album. There is no concrete information on whether Kai receives payment for the artist appearances and album reviews on his stream, although that doesn't matter, as eyes are the most valuable commodity within live streaming. A famous rapper appearing on Kai's stream is incredibly mutually beneficial. Cenat will reach the eyes of the entire rapper's fanbase, and the artist will be able to promote whatever hip-hop slop they want to a young audience of impressionable fans, and this is bound to affect the way in which the albums are reviewed. Kai's reviews present more outside influences that are heavily affecting the opinions of massively popular tastemakers in the modern day. Cenat also clip farms and screams like a teenage girl for attention, but has also somehow become one of the most valuable figures for record labels to mold like an overly smiley piece of clay. It appears on the surface to be organic marketing, but this is fucking mainstream music we're talking about. I can almost guarantee that there were discussions and money being thrown around behind the scenes that do affect the way in which these albums are discussed, allegedly. And now we reach perhaps the most heinous, although hilarious example of a music reviewer. This big-nosed freakazoid is actually somebody I used to be a fan of in the past, but streaming has morphed him into something truly terrifying: a rich, disgusting loner. XQC takes clip farming and rage baiting to a new level, and I'm almost certain this is entirely done on purpose. He will literally play 5 seconds of a song before giving his opinion. This is quite clearly retarded, but it works. Clips like this gain millions of views through social media, where people more knowledgeable about music will cope and seethe about his perception of the art form. You see, XQC has an incredibly simple view of life, and that is fine, but when that is combined with massive ego and influence, it becomes a problem. He believes that 90% of the genre that he specializes in, being hip-hop, is complete dog shit, and the reason for that is
Hip-hop, R&B shit, 90% of it is shit. Lyrically, Message-wise, yo, I bought this Louis V for my bitch. In my ride in my car, to the club with the boys, out the trenches, stacking racks, boom, boom. Okay, most of the songs are like that. You wanna get mad about that? It's just some basic level shit to go with a beat that fucking pops in the car. It is what it is.
He also has zero understanding of other perspectives. XQC isn't a fan of lyricism within music, which is probably because he has a very limited grasp of the English language.
If you care that much about lyrics, just read a book. I don't care about what they say. They could be speaking German for all I give a shit about. Because if it's a vibe, if it bops, if it bumps, I play on my speaker. Because I don't give it no lyrics, bitch. It's noises. It's not fucking, that was poetry. I don't care.
Although this opinion is he is actually allowed to have it. It only becomes a problem when you consider the massive reach of XQC's opinions. Even if you don't care about lyricism, you have to consider it in terms of a review because it is an inherent part of the medium. If a musician has put effort into a section of music, it needs to be considered within a review. The lyricism take by XQC is clearly intended for rage bait, and it worked. Countless music experts online raged at this opinion, and then it went back and forth, and it created a nice, healthy little bit of ad revenue for everybody involved. But guess what? That is the point. More clicks, more views, more money. But what happens to the art form? What happens to the actual discourse behind these opinions? So it's clear these three individuals don't really care about music as an art form and primarily utilize the music review as a way to push forwards their career and financial success. So if this is clearly the case, why is this a problem? Well, it's the sheer size of their audiences. These three have a combined 39.2 million followers on Twitch with 52 million across all platforms. A significant portion of these streamers' audiences are young to late teens, an audience base that is incredibly susceptible. These reviews are not genuine and are not intended to push forward the music as an art form. They are intended for clips and money. It's cheaper and more effective to simply pay a streamer to glaze an album or have a rapper appear on stream than traditional marketing. I'm not saying that happens, but let's be honest, it fucking does. So let's move on to a more niche reviewer that has recently entered the space. Brad Taste the Music. Oh wait, no. Twink Brad Taste the Music. Liam Donovan. I will preface this section by saying me and him have interacted, and I do not like the kid for personal reasons that I feel are valid. I will not let that affect my criticism of the way he reviews or the way he looks.
I'll be crying if I look like that too, bro. That up what they be doing to y'all.
The music review stream was perhaps pioneered by Brad Taste in Music, who charged his audience a certain amount per minute for song requests. It was a fucking lot of money, and Liam charges a lot less, $5 per song, which is actually respectable considering this job could be done by a fucking chimp with headphones on. So $5 per song sounds okay, but there is a huge problem with that. He charges it regardless of the length of the song. This presents a huge issue with the reviews. Liam has had a tendency in the past to skip through tracks if he doesn't like what he hears, supposedly in an attempt to find a section where it either changes or improves or he likes what he hears. I think the problem here is pretty obvious. Imagine reviewing a fucking painting with 3/4 of it covered up. Imagine reviewing a film with half the scenes just completely wiped out. It's impossible to gain an understanding or knowledge of a song without knowing the full context of at least what's going on to that piece of fucking art. It's not an issue with him, it's an issue with the format itself. Obviously, Liam is not going to want to listen to the entirety of Dope Smoker for $5. I'll do that. I'll do it for fucking free, but he doesn't want to. He's money maxing, bro. He needs to buy more Pitchfork top 50 albums on vinyl and stick it on his fucking wall. That is a joke. Don't crash out. Don't crash out.
Motherfuckers who stick their vinyl covers on the fucking wall. I hate that. I despise that shit. Don't do that. Just put it in a fucking pile, alright? It's music. Right? You don't need to like what? You invite a girl around and they're gonna fucking look at your Elliott Smith, My Chemical Romance and fucking Beatles album covers and that's gonna get them going, is it? No.
He also clearly never built a basis of music knowledge before his flurry into music criticism. This is primarily because he scrambled to fill Brad Taste's niche after stagnating as a drama YouTuber called Lerix for various years. There are some spicy allegations towards Lerix that I will let the slop tubers cover, but I do think you should look into it if you're a fan. Just a quick little insight here. I've linked a few videos in the description that more so explain Liam Donovan's past as Lerix. I do think there is a reason he like scrabbles and molds and like almost cries whenever anybody brings it up on his stream. He doesn't really want it catching up to him. Like, people can change. A lot of the stuff he did is like, it's not fucking crazy. I do think it's weird. He's a fucking weirdo. But it's the fact that like you don't change that quickly as soon as you see like a niche open that can make money. Like, this is after he literally scrambled to become a relevant drama YouTuber for a very, very, very long time. I think his sudden shift in persona is completely fake. Personally, I could be wrong, but guess what? Most of these cutesy little nicey people on the internet, they're usually the worst people you will ever meet in your entire fucking life. And that's just from my experience of talking to other YouTubers who know more people. Yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, watch those videos. I think you should be aware if you're a fan of him, because he is kind of peddling this nice guy, cutesy, sensitive motherfucker that is very appealing to a certain audience online. So yeah, a basis of music knowledge isn't required to criticize anything, but it is preferable if you want respect outside of your secular teenage girl audience. It often leads to situations where Liam clearly misunderstands the context or purpose of a song. The term not interesting or unlistenable is thrown around a lot, and those words don't really mean anything on their own, but they can be utilized within a review with context. But when you call Window Liquor by Aphex Twin not interesting after skipping through it, despite the fact it literally utilizes techniques that were unheard of in electronic music at the time, it clearly misses the mark and shows a clear misunderstanding of the history of the genre you are trying to review. If you review any IDM, you need to understand the context of the time period the music was made in. It's not going to be as complicated as modern day electronic music because it was created using hardware. Otherwise, what is the point? Just claim ignorance so your audience doesn't immediately disregard one of the greatest and most influential electronic producers of all time just because you do not understand. Alright, so I guess it's probably best if I actually react to this review of Window Liquor by Aphex Twin that was on his stream. This is his review. Obviously I won't be able to play the music because I actually understand copyright, but we'll see his criticisms. I'm sure many of you are aware of Window Liquor by Aphex Twin.
There's just kind of nothing so far.
Alright, nothing so far. Bro, it's an introduction. The break manipulation, the samples, and the fucking drums are incredibly interesting. It's a fucking introduction for an IDM song. What do you expect? It's not going to go into screaming emo right at the beginning. This is my problem. He doesn't understand the genres he's reviewing at all.
Alright, I'm gonna be honest. I like listening to experimental stuff, but I just don't find this particularly interesting.
Okay, so that's his criticism. It's not particularly interesting.
It's just kind of a boring drag.
It's a boring drag. And then he's skipping through it. He's fucking skipping through it. So rather than actually giving it a chance to actually listen to the song and see where it goes and see where things fucking transition.
Profile picture is kind of like Quirk Chungus.
Quirk Chungus.
Man, I'm so random and crazy and fucked up.
It's not random, crazy, and fucked up. It's fucking cool. Like, you just have a lack of understanding of anything creative. That's what it is. But that's my opinion of his opinion, obviously. I think he's fucking stupid. He's stupid and he's creatively void.
I appreciate boundary pushing. I just don't think that was particularly that interesting.
It's one of the most
interesting
pieces of music in electronic music, period. It was released in 1999 and there's not a song that has come out that sounds like that because of the way it was made. Like, people aren't even fully aware of how the fuck it was made because he gatekeeps it. I don't understand how you could, like, listen to a lot of music, be a fan of a lot of music, and then think something like that is, like, not interesting or formulaic. You don't listen to music, my bro, or you just are very limited in what you do listen to, which is fine, but, like, this is bad criticism.
But which one was it? It was like this one?
And then he puts on the TikTok song of just, like, an ambient kind of weird, like, liminal Aphex Twin tune.
Pretty interesting. What year was that? 2001.
And then he talks about how 2001 for that ambient track is super crazy, even though Window Liquor was released in 1999 and is more boundary pushing.
Yeah, overall, I mean, how do I even rate that? It's just kind of like,
how do I even rate?
Like 2 out of 10, probably. So.
How do I even rate that? Learn how to rate something if you're gonna fucking rate something, man. I'm crashing out. I can't hack it because, like, I feel like this guy, like, if I didn't know more about him, I'd think he's playing a character because it's just so stupid. But yeah, I wanted to actually include that in because whenever I've spoken about him in the past, he always molds over like, where are the clips? There we go, bro. There we go. Liam makes a lot of money off these streams, and money will always affect perspective. That's why my perspective is perfect, because I'm fucking broke. I do respect the Twink grind set though. It's admirable, but the money needs to go on a hairdresser, Liam. Like, it's getting silly now. Ironic, I'm guessing, but the joke's not funny anymore. I do think he should continue to develop his knowledge and improve on the platform. And brother, don't take this personal, alright? You used to make fucking great jokes on a regular basis. I'm sure you can take a little bit of criticism and some jokes on the fucking chin. Regardless of how Liam sees himself as a critic, he might not think he's a critic at all, but he is criticizing music to a large audience, which will affect the perception of certain certain artists for certain people. Don't get me wrong, Liam is much better than the other three. Although I will be honest, the blunt rotation with these three is probably a lot better than a one-on-one smoke session with the old Donovan, with the old Liam Donovan. Modern online tastemakers just do not have the knowledge or background of reviewers in the past. It's so cooked that even I am the fucking problem. I listen to music on my streams and present my thoughts, and unless the music is actually fucking awful, I try to find positives for literally everything, and that's even if I don't like it. The perception that somebody has paid me to give my thoughts on a piece of music that they are passionate about warps the way I think about it and warps the way I talk about it. It's flawed. It's inherently flawed. I'm subject to similar criticisms to all of these people. Well, not everything, but so why has it changed so drastically? It's just the case that the way music is consumed has drastically changed. We don't read through reviews to decide what album we're going to purchase on vinyl that week. We can just play it for free and then decide later if we want to support it or just skip on to the next one. It's so quick and easy. Most art just comes down to money. It's unfortunate. And the same can be said for music reviews. Back in the day, music critics were paid to essentially distribute money to the correct artists. And nowadays, dancing clowns on live streams are paid with eyes and clicks. I don't want it to seem like I'm just glazing the past here. I do believe that the industry today has the ability to present fresh ideas within music like no other decade. Having the success of bands fully rely on the opinion of singular critics is inherently flawed, and led to successful artists in the modern day like Slowdive basically being blacklisted from the industry in the 90s until they eventually re-emerged on the internet. Although call me pretentious all you want, I would much rather read a well thought out written review by somebody I respect in terms of knowledge than watch any of these motherfuckers scramble for more viewers behind a webcam, me included by the way.